Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will take questions 10 and 16 together. The Government expects those who have caused defects to step up to solve them. As the House is aware, 50 developers have now signed contracts to resolve cladding and non-cladding defects in over 1,100 buildings. For other properties, the Government is making extensive taxpayer subsidy available to support cladding remediation, along with other mechanisms to pursue those who are responsible.
Daby.
Mr. Speaker, help for people living in buildings under 11 metres with fire defects, safety defects, does not go far enough. This is because of the huge amount of money involved. My constituent has described her experience as a never-ending nightmare. Will the Minister bring this nightmare to an end for constituents like mine who are forced to pay to fix the mistakes of others?
I'm grateful to the Honourable Lady for raising that. And the Honourable Lady raises a specific question about under 11 metre properties. Every single property, whether they're over or under 11 metres, needs a fire and risk assessment. I would encourage your constituent to ensure that there is a FRU against that property. And if that FRU indicates that extensive work is necessary, I would be very happy to receive a copy of it, and I will look into it personally in order to do so.
Vicky Foxcroft.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, I've written to the Minister about my constituent who is a leaseholder living in a property under 11 metres, which means he's not protected by the 2022 Building Safety Act. The cladding cost alone will be well over £100,000, and any non-cladding costs will be substantial. Now, for my constituent, this is completely unaffordable and will bankrupt him. So when will the Minister provide a full update, which was promised to me back on the 18th of August?
As I say, in terms of individual buildings, if the Honourable Lady from Lewisham wants to raise it once again with me or talk to me separately outside, I'm happy to do that. With regards to under 11 metre buildings, we are taking every single building that we are made aware of as requiring additional remediation, going through that, checking it, compiling audits where it's necessary to get to the bottom of it. The Government strongly believes that under 11 metre buildings do not need extensive remediation, and we will be happy to talk more about any where it has been raised.
Julian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Doesn't the necessity for the Government to have to take that sort of action show the danger that leaseholders are under of abuse, really, of the power that freeholders have? May I, through him, gently remind the Secretary of State of an assurance he gave me on the 20th of February when he said, talking about leasehold, we need to end this feudal form of tenure and ensure individuals have the right to enjoy their own property fully. Is that still intended to be in the King's speech?
My honourable friend from the New Forest knows I'm not able to anticipate what's with the King's speech, but what I do know is that we are absolutely clear that, particularly with regards to remediation, some freeholders have stepped up and they should be credited for doing so. Some freeholders have absolutely not done so, and the Secretary of State and I will not hesitate to call out that activity where it occurs.
Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I congratulate my honourable friend for the action he's taking, indeed the Secretary of State is taking, against those developers that refuse to remediate tall buildings. What action is he going to propose now to take against those developers that deliberately do not carry out this work and leave leaseholders in peril, not only of their lives, but potentially not able to sell or even insure their properties?
Is aware we are ensuring that developers uphold the promises they made through the developer contract, through the responsible actor scheme, which makes sure that if they fail to do so, that in extremis they could be banned from building in this country once again. And if there is any indication that that is occurring, we will be happy to take action. I will be happy to receive any information from my honourable friend or others around the House if that is occurring.
Shadow Minister Mike Amesbury.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over 6 years on from the Grenfell disaster, where 72 people lost their lives, a resident in a Galliard home called Sam, who's disabled, is one of the hundreds of thousands still trapped in an unremediated building. Is this the new do-nothing approach from the Department to building safety, highlighted in The Guardian today, an approach which forced the resignation of a senior civil servant from the department?
I think that question is somewhat beneath the honourable gentleman, but let me state absolutely clearly what this government is doing. It has recognised that there is an issue. It has legislated to resolve those. It is working extremely hard to ensure that developers are held to account for that, and has had success over the last few months in ensuring that that process takes place. It is also, where developers are no longer around, it is stepping up and making sure that the cladding defects are covered, and hundreds of buildings over recent months have concluded their remediation, which demonstrates the progress that is being made.